I did have a therapy session on Friday.
Yeah, I clearly haven't been to therapy in a year or so. But on that note, what's up, y'all? Welcome to the pod. We're your friendly neighborhood youth group rejects. I'm Rose-Ingrid.
And I'm Laura.
Hi. And we have a guest today.
Hello.
It's Dee, who is a good friend.
Yeah, we go way back.
We do go way back. I used to be your pastor,
Yeah.
for lack of better terms.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
They didn't pay me like
You
a
were my
pastor.
youth pastor.
Yeah, but I was essentially your pastor. And now I've led you to. You
led me away from the Lord.
That's what,
I think I led you away from the Lord.
yeah, but your parents think I led you away from the Lord.
Influences.
Yeah.
And now here you are.
Yeah. I don't know who was the bad influence between the two of us.
Look, I think that I taught y'all to have minds of your own, which is a problem in church. Though I was still very much living the life of the Lord, and y'all were acting a fool.
No, that's true.
You were trying to get kicked out of
I was
youth group.
actively, yeah.
Yeah.
I was seeing how far I could go.
Yeah.
Y'all kept calling me back.
Yo, man, you gave me some stress. There were many a gym session that was purely inspired by you.
And now look at us.
I would leave youth group on Wednesday night or Friday night so anxious and so frustrated. I'd be like, take me to the gym. Well, I'm like, now it's midnight. I don't fucking care. That would just like lift my stress away because these kids were fucking stressing me out.
I mean, that's fair. You were like 25,
I had
dealing
no
with
business.
like
Dude.
7, 8 teenagers.
I pretty much,
like,
I
yeah,
raised a
that sounds about
generation of high
right.
schoolers, and they were going through it, and I had never gone through my own stuff, so
Yeah.
it was a lot. I hadn't been to therapy yet,
Mm-hmm.
and your parents, bless them all, had no clue what was going on in that realm. But
You
yeah,
gotta love church parents, send them to youth group. They're blessed. God will take care of it. And there's no issues. It's fine. There's no issues.
But did she?
yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Yay! You're our first guest.
Aw, that's such
Yeah.
an honor.
Yes, sir. First, so how y'all feeling? How's it going?
Good.
Yeah, it's comfy.
Have any good week?
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped up on coffee right now.
I love it. And I'm
Drink more.
Yeah, I know. Right? I'm like, I do have more, so we'll see.
Oh,
There's
Yeah.
also Red Bull too.
Great. Love it. We're going to bring it on.
Coffee
All that
sweats.
why don't we
caffeine.
just snort coke and get it over with?
May as well, I forgot my naloxone kit though, so let's just not right now.
Safe drug use. I love that. So, any highlights of the week? Any highlights this week?
On the highs this week.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I got to hang out with my partner and their mom, which was a lot of fun this weekend.
Fun.
Very
Nice.
sweet, very wholesome.
Oh,
It's
we
a
love
high, though. It is
wholesome.
family day weekend, so
Right,
we did
right.
the thing,
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I love that.
We have a wholesome hang.
Yeah,
We need more
right?
wholesomeness in our lives,
Exactly.
I don't
It's
know
nice.
what that is.
Yeah.
You don't. You need more raunchy shit in your life. We're working on it.
I may have dressed up as a pastor, put on a beard, and stripped in front of strangers.
I really do love that. I was sad to miss the show.
Yo, I'm like, I've come full circle. What an era in my life. I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
I like dance to a gospel song in my undies.
Oh, amazing. I was gonna say John, it's David the dance.
Yes. See?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
I am
right?
giving biblical. I was like, I can be even more. What's the word? I'm losing Bible verses?
Undignified.
As this.
More undignified. Is
Yeah.
that the worship song?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've become even more undignified
in this. See? Look at you. You're back to church already.
It's Sunday. We're going to church.
Yeah. It is Sunday, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah, it's the Lord's Day. It's not by
forgot.
accident. There's nothing's by accident in the work of the Lord.
Won't she do it?
Hallelujah.
Amen.
God is
On
good.
cue.
All the time.
And all the
the
time.
God is good.
Oh, good old Pentecostal bullshit. How was your week?
Okay, it was good. Yeah. I had this experience. I met a lot of really nice people this week. And then I had this experience when we were doing a fundraiser where I was like, oh, this person is not taking me seriously. Because I was trying to spread awareness about things and how trauma is stored in our cells and how somatic experiencing what that is, what that can look like, and how we need to, instead of talk therapy, which can keep us stuck because we're just reliving our trauma instead of moving it out of our body, blah, blah. This guy's looking at me and I'm like, I don't think he's taking me seriously because I'm a woman. I'm not sure though. Anyways, he turns out he walks away. He's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Then he comes back for more, right? And he says, the only thing that's going to heal that is Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, our Creator is the only. I was like, well, also, like, if we were given mind bodies and we've studied them with the brains that God gave us.
Heaven forbid we use the brain God gave us to fucking do shit.
And you know how like Jesus used to hang with people and they would walk together, eat together, heal together.
Maybe fuck together.
Fuck together. That's
Probably.
somatic healing. That can be.
Yo, we were talking the other day about like fucking sex magic.
What?
Like when, like man,
I'm intrigued.
like I've heard about using the power of orgasm to manifest. So like while you're fucking having sex and you're having an O, like declare, like literally like speaking out what you
So you like arrive at the bedroom, like we set the intention.
I think you could even go as like as
that.
fucking baseline as I'm just fucking you, and then once I hit my spot, I'm like purposing in that. And I mean, if you had a partner you could be woo with, sure, but I think you could just like I'm having a no, and I'm gonna car, like.
Well, the car was the thing that came to mind.
Whatever. Financial abundance. It just
Range Rover.
kind of like when we grew up in church, it was like Wednesday.
That's what it's
prayer
giving.
meeting. Because pastor used to they were on this really weird trip about like fucking money, and they would like walk around the room like, money, come to me.
I forgot
and they would pace
about
around
that.
the fucking church, just like money.
Like the Jericho
And
March.
the whole
me.
church would do it. You would like go around the auditorium, all chant.
Yeah,
It's kind of culty.
But without,
Sometimes I don't
but
realize.
at least with fucking sex magic, you can get an O out of it.
Yeah.
You get something.
So when the manifestation doesn't happen, you at least get you got some.
And if it does
endorphins.
work, it's a win-win both sides.
Precisely.
All right.
You know,
I practice that.
because
after we
I feel
talked
like
about
I've
it.
made more money post Jesus than pre Jesus. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Say that again.
I've made more money post Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Well, it's because you're not having a tithe 20%.
Exactly that.
yeah.
Exactly that. Mhm.
I like my financial abundance came out way after.
When you stopped giving it away to the church.
Hallelujah.
Mm.
How was you want to talk about it? Want to talk about it? How do you feel about tithing?
Ooh, how do I feel about tithing?
Might as well go there.
A lot of feelings. You know what? Actually, what I've always found so interesting is if you look at, whatever era these texts were written when they first were talking about tithing to the church, and the context of it was a lot to do with community care.
Mm-hmm.
It was, okay, we all have these resources, and if you're going to be part of this community, then it's expected that you bring a portion of your resources to make sure that everyone is cared for.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to me that that principle was so
Perverted?
Perverted's a very good word for it. Over the years, and now it's just this idea of you give to the church because you must, and God's not going to take care of you or heal you or whatever
bless
if
you,
you
whatever.
don't put your money into this church, this institution, this organization. It has nothing to do with community care. It has
course not.
nothing to do with any of the original ideas that were around it. And again, I don't claim to be a Christian in any way. I don't really guide my life based on the Bible. But when you look at those stories, there are some really interesting principles in there. And I think the principle of community care is something that you could have taken away from that. And instead it was like, you show up at church, you give your money to this organization so the pastor can have a pool. I'm not saying every church. I'm just saying the churches that I've been the churches I've been involved in.
And multiple motorcycles and a house on the East Coast.
And I think that, to be fair, I think there are some churches or some communities that do practice more of this like principle of care.
Yeah.
But I think the churches that I was involved in, that wasn't the case. So
Yeah.
Tell them.
yeah. So I have feelings.
You mean I was working $11 an hour fucking as a barista, making minimum wage and paying rent because I didn't have parents, and tithing, not 10, but sometimes up to 20% to the church.
Because 10 was bare minimum. It was like a tipping culture.
No,
like
well,
10 was like, this service was fine.
But 10 was obedience
Right.
because the Bible said so. If you wanted to lean into faith, then you had to give more. right? So if you wanted to step into faith and really put in a seed, then you have to get into the 15, 20%, whatever.
See, the whole seed thing, I feel like that is a sect of its own. Like, I don't think that's something you can blanket across
No, I prefer not.
Christianity.
No, that's Pentecostal Word of Faith evangelicals. We see y'all.
Yeah.
You know?
That's very
the
specific.
people yelling to the ceiling asking money to come down. I'm like, sir, your money is coming to you. We're paying for your bills.
From everyone in this congregation.
Yeah, all of us broke. And on top of that, I was noticing people couldn't feed their kids, and I was giving them gift cards.
Yes.
Working minimum, I was feeding families.
Mm-hmm.
The church
because the tithing wasn't going, again, back to community care in any way.
So when people were like, oh shit, people's kids were calling me like, I'm hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you have 2 parents. One of them works a fucking government job. How are you fucking hungry? And I was talking about parents not parenting, okay? And my fucking minimum wage working ass, paying my way through Bible college, robbed by Bible college.
Yeah, but that's another one we should maybe touch on. These Bible college.
Anywho, the unaccredited school I went to and never finished because they fucking kept extending the fucking program and be like, I could teach this class anyway. And being like, well, let me figure out. And I knew how to make some money spread. I would go to the grocery store, get some noodles, can of sauce, some ground beef, and the next thing you know, I got a little casserole for the whole family. Feed all 6 of them. And husband will walk in and be like, smells like Rose-Ingrid's here. I'm like, yeah, you should be fucking ashamed. I'm sorry, I have feelings about this. And then he would eat, and everyone would eat, and there would be like a little leftover, and he would pack his lunch for the next day, and then he would move on with his day, man.
Yep.
And he made more than his wife.
Christian service.
And he was not a Christian though. Like, he made with his wife, and the kids were all there. And I'm just like, and this happened regularly. And I'm like, yo, parents would call. Someone's mom called me to ask for marriage advice. I was 21, had never been on a date.
Jeez.
I was 21, 22. It was like summer of 2011 when I was fucking interning at the church.
Yeah. Like 24, 25.
Yeah, 24? Yeah, there we go. You know.
Sorry.
No, I appreciate that. I was in the office one day, and fucking someone's mom's like, my husband's
fucking
being
someone's mom?
Someone's mom was like, I know.
In the office.
Not like that.
Are there videos?
She's not hot like that. I mean, bless her. Like, she's a nice lady, but not my type. And she like was telling me how her husband was being a dick, and I'm like, well, you know. And then associate pastors across the hall like, how's ministry treating you? I'm like, not paying me enough. Fuck. Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, I've never been on a date. I've never held a person's hand. Why am I giving you marriage advice? Oh, because pastors, their version of marriage advice is hug your husband. He's being abusive. You might need to pray more. Are you reading your Bible? And she knew that, and she didn't want to be gaslit. So she called me. And then pastor's wife called me into the office that Sunday. I hear you're giving advice. It's not your gifting. I fucking agree, ma'am. Are you going to do your job?
But those people would seek you out because they know that you're not buying into the bullshit. You still saw.
Because I'm like, you need to be heard and seen.
Yeah.
Anywho, yeah. My 20s.
Yeah.
Oof, your 20s.
My 20s. what an era. We were roommates for part of that time too. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Aw. We did a ministry before we got out of it.
Yeah.
Our last chapter of ministry.
You mean when we became quote unquote missionaries in the hood?
Yeah, not proud of that era.
You know what? I have a lot of shame too. Yeah.
But I feel like that's something though. You grow up in the church, and if you have any inclinations towards like ideas of justice, you're like, okay, go into ministry, which is just not at all what you think it's going to be in terms of caring for your community. It's really just like, invite more people to church, and that's how you do justice work. And so it's easy to get bought into it, I think.
Yeah.
So gross.
Did I tell you? I told you. I think during the lockdown, he called me.
Oh no.
The head of this Christian nonprofit saw me on Facebook and was like, "How can I help?" During all the BLM whatever shit, and I was like,
"Oh, there's so much more to talk about.
Let's go.
Pay my
He
rent."
fucking called me. I was like, "Hey, this is the last time I do this for free. If you want fucking work, I paid for this shit. So this labor, it costs money. Furthermore, let me tell you, like, you wanna be better. Let's talk about the clear racism and classism of your org." Okay, we used to be part of this movement that would go to neighbor cities and map out they would find the poorest neighborhoods demographically and walk around and look, and they would map out communities based on poverty, people groups. So they were looking for like black and brown people from Muslim countries, primarily, or non-Christian countries, whatever's, or who what poverty, like 1040 window. So people who lived in the 10 to the 40 like longitude latitude. So the most quote unquote unreached people in the world. They're the least likely to have the gospel. And
wow, really strategic.
And high density.
Very strategic.
And high density. His thing was, well, why go overseas when the mission field
we
is
could
right
colonize them right here.
Yes. So you have a bunch of upper middle class white kids with fucking like engineering degrees moving into the poorest neighborhoods in cities like Toronto, Kitchener, Ottawa, displacing poor people because the landlords go, oh, I can rent to fucking people with money. And we were living 3, 4, 5 in an apartment. At one point, there was 5 of us in a 2-bedroom. Rent was fucking cheap because we were in the hood. Rent was like $900 a month for a 2-bedroom. Add 2 bunk beds, we're paying less than $300 a month in rent. That's utilities included. So we were actually broke.
I was like, the thing is, we were the poor kids. But then we're like, but we have to live here anyways, but we're going to be part of this like ministry because we want to do good in our neighborhood.
Exactly, because we came from
like help our neighbors.
But most of the movement was like fucking Joe Schmo from fucking Kitchener, who's never seen a black person in their life, moving into the hood and just pathologizing all the shit he saw around them. Oh, yeah. Oh,
not great.
And then we'd have prayer meeting every week where we would pray for our neighbors, essentially spill all of our neighbors' tea to each other under the guise of prayer, and then use it as ways to get them into the kingdom. But we're being good neighbors.
Like that was the whole model. Was like, yeah, you get to know your neighbors, you have these regular meetings, invite neighbors over, and you like pray for them, and then eventually you figure out a way, like when you understand their context, to invite them to church. It was just like another way of
exploitation.
Like, instead of putting out the tracts and everything, you're just inviting them into your home and giving them tea and then being like, you should come with me to church. It was really icky. Very icky. Yeah.
And the longer I was in my neighborhood, the more I was like, this is fucked up. I became very defensive of my neighborhood. I'm like, who the fuck are y'all? What? At one point, I think year 3 for me, man in charge was like, got this great idea for a fundraiser. We're going to do like a 5K, 10K, like marathon kind of thing. And then we're going to invite all your friends from the burbs who are too cool to live in these hoods, but can't get involved because you have to move in to be part of it. And not everyone wants to do that. So, but we need their money. And the thing is like, I was on staff, but my job was not actually living in the neighborhood because everyone lives in the neighborhood. My job was all the administrative work. That's not sexy.
Ugh.
So you're not going to give me monthly donations to do admin work.
Yeah, right.
You're going to want to know about the neighborhood and the prostitutes and the whatevers and how you're helping the little poor Muslim kids, okay? Fucked up. And so they are like, what if we went to, because they map out all these neighborhoods. What if we went to a neighborhood where there's no teams and brought your fucking friends from the burbs, the rich kids, to do a prayer walk through it? And then they'll donate money and then we could raise money that way. It'd be great. We'll do a global day of prayer and walking. And some people did like 10K bike rides through neighborhoods around the world in slums and in fucking poor neighborhoods in fucking the middle,
wherever.
In Asia or in Latin America and in hoods here. And I was like, that sounds so grody. No. They're like, why not? I'm like, because no auntie is going to come and fucking do a 10K prayer walk. That's so like white. Secondly, that means I can't really include my neighbors in it. Secondly, we're not a fucking zoo.
Well, that's just it. Like, we're not going to give you a tour of this neighborhood
That
to
I don't
show
even
off my
live in.
neighbor's lives, especially that when it was neighborhoods you didn't even live in. It was
no
so
one lived
gross.
in. So I have no like authority here. I'm a stranger, and already the cops take over these neighborhoods. The fucking sex workers and their pimps are all like, the neighborhood's already inundated. The city's already a slumlord. And, social workers are fucking terrorizing people here. And I'm going to bring a bunch of strangers to fucking just like, ooh, oh, wow. How dirty and gross. I'm going to pray for you. Oh, wow.
So
Let me
gross.
look at this card about I'm like, fuck y'all.
But
This is
not
fucked
provide
up.
for any of your basic needs.
No,
Not at all.
If you really
Not at
want to
all.
help them, put on your fucking suit, go to City Hall, and ask them why they're a slumlord. Ask them why in Ottawa community housing, plenty of people live in conditions that you would let no private owner let them live in.
Yep.
When my neighbors had fucking roaches so bad, I would go feed their cat when they were on fucking vacation. And every day there were so many roaches. There was roaches in the food the cats wouldn't eat. But the city goes, it's not life threatening, so you can just, it's fine. Here's a shop vac. Have a good day.
But we would never.
No. They would never consider it.
No.
Oh no,
They would
And
never
then-
live in conditions like
right?
No, not even close.
And then we go to a fucking conference every year where they play games like bed bugs and roaches as if it's a fucking joke. And I'm like, poverty is not a costume. So I just told them off on the phone. I was like, poverty's not a costume. It's offensive. I've been poor and I would never want to be poor. It's not something. Also, like you're displacing people who need to live here. You can live across the street, pay normal rent and whatever's. It's fucking racist and weird and colonial.
Very weird.
And it was like, I see we're not gonna agree. I'm like, yeah, I think so. Bye. Don't let the door hit you on your way out. I also fucking know that you're fucking full of shit. Don't do it. Stop colonizing the neighborhoods. Yeah.
It's not cute.
It was not cute.
It's not cute.
It was not cute.
No.
It really wasn't.
I did that in master's commission in Florida and it was fucking weird. But my body was like, this feels really gross. But you had to like build relationships. It was so good. And
Was
then
it
put on
friendship evangelism?
and then like go clean up trash in the neighborhood, which fine. But
Okay.
and then put on kids programs and then have them come in at the Freedom Center. I'm like, I am white, okay? Going in with like people don't need relationships with me, you know? Like, what do you mean? It was so yucky.
Using kids is the worst.
That's insane. And so many churches do it. They're like, oh, we have all these kids programs. Bring the kids in. Then we're going to guilt the parents. Like, why weren't you involved in this like big thing that you're like, you know, your kids had a presentation or something. But it's just another way to be like, you should be part of the church.
Yeah. Well,
And why?
Yeah.
what church we used to go to. So after we lost our youth pastor because he fucked pastor's wife.
Oh my gosh, I keep forgetting that story.
Now you will never.
So we lost our first youth pastor because he was gay. And then our second youth pastor because he fucked pastor's wife. And then we had
so much
one other
pee in the
guy.
church.
I know. So we had another guy come and he left because he made money elsewhere. I think he moved to Seattle or whatever. He was a nice guy. Yeah. But like for a while we didn't have a youth pastor. So pastor would come on Wednesday nights and do youth group. It was me, pastor's daughter, and like all the kids they went to fucking school with. And that was it. There was like 5 of us. So rather than normal youth group, he would just use this as a fucking as a focus group for how to get kids to come to church.
Oh.
We like brainstorm ideas at youth group, like, okay, what could we do? Let's give them like Xbox and this and that. It was a fucking fucked up shit. But pastor was like legit about how if you create good kids program, the families will come.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
That's how they've been
So
doing
when
it.
your kids go to vacation Bible school with their little buddies or youth group,
VBS.
say no.
Yeah.
It's not. It's actually.
It's not innocent.
It's not innocent. It's not innocuous. Because they know if parents are happy, the kids are happy. Parents are happy. So if they see their kids having fun and whatever, and that's how they fucking get you.
And the brainwash starts.
Uh-huh.
Young age.
at a young age. Yeah.
Yeah.
there's a
Very
reason.
young age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it's not to say like all these programmings are all, you know, nefarious.
No.
It's just that so often that is the goal, is not how can we create a really good program that's going to help our
Help kids,
community
yes.
or like
Yeah.
be useful or like, you know, fill a need that is actually, you know, something that we're trying to do to participate as part of this neighborhood, this community. So often the goal is if we do this right, we're going to get everyone to come to this church. And again, if you tie it back to the conversation we had earlier
then you
about
tie
tithing, it becomes a money scheme. Because if more families come into the church, more people are going to be guilted into giving 10% of their income. And then all of a sudden, and again,
And I can't
I'd love
get-
to disclaim that
I
this is not
can't
every
get
church,
tithes
but many.
Yeah.
if the mom and dad don't come. Which is why when I was a barista in the fucking youth, well, that's one of the, I don't remember when we were working at the Second Cup.
Yeah.
This woman would come, single mom. Well, she was like single, essentially single mom, and she was having issues with for family, and the kids started coming to youth group. And one day, like Brian was like, "Where's the mom gonna come?" And I was like, "Because they were using the food bank."
Oh,
And I was like, "Are you serious?"
because they want the contribution.
I'm like, "Fuck you." Like, these kids clearly needed somewhere to be, and they're happy to come to youth group.
sure.
And mom clearly needs help. Are we not a place of help? Is that not why you have the fucking massive Red Cross?
And see, I think that's the
or is
difference.
it just a phallic symbol? Like, let's talk about it. Are we compensating for something? Look, I'm just like, are we fucking for real? I was so unimpressed because I'm like, I expect more from you. I did expect more from him. And he had days I was like, yo, man, I know you. You're better than this. Be careful who you marry.
I mean, you get bought in though, like
I know.
after
That's
some
the
time.
thing. You're not aware, right? Like we
Forget
can
yourself.
see it clearly now,
Yeah.
but like so many people are part of this machine that is gross and exploitive, and they don't see it.
And
I
you're
mean,
just
some
so
people do
tied
on
to like
purpose,
family.
yeah.
Like, let's talk about that because I think it's not again like, I think for a lot of people are like, oh man, whenever I see people leave, I'm like, yes, you're free. But it's so tied to your community, to family, to like your entire social circle. So when you leave, it's so hard. And I feel like for you, it was super tied to your family and your
Very much
right?
so. Very much so.
How was that? Like, was there a lot of tension for you coming out of that?
Yeah, like walking away from the church, you mean?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, churches, and I think specifically Christianity, is a huge part of my family on both sides. Like on my mom's side of the family, like they did the whole thing in the 70s. Like they traveled in a bus, they played music, they went to different churches and communities, and like they did the whole like that kind of missionary thing. And in many ways it was really wholesome. But obviously that just showed like church was a big deal, and it was like important to them to like go to these communities and go to these other churches and stuff. And so obviously raising us as kids, like church was everything. Like I understood stories about Jesus before I understood like basic like reading and math. Like I just like Jesus was very much a part of my upbringing. And like my dad's side, same way. Like, you know, I think in the Caribbean church is just very cultural too. Everyone goes to church, whether you really believe in God or not. Like you go to church. And I would say most of my relatives, like they do like describe themselves as Christians and they really believe in it. So yeah, I think for me, there was never a consideration that there was an alternative to not being a Christian. Like that was just this is my family and we are Christians. That's who we are, you know? And so I think as an adult, when I started to understand myself better, when I started to think about, okay, what does church mean to me? And what does that look like when I look at the rest of my life, who I am, you know, being someone who is queer, being someone who really cares about things that are happening around the world and like how that's impacted by things like religion, you know, I started to wrestle with, do I actually believe, first of all, do I even believe in this whole story of Jesus and all of that? Or is that just something that I've regurgitated because it was fed to me my whole life? And also, if I am going to identify as a Christian, like what does that even mean, again, in a larger context? Because we're talking about how, yeah, a lot of it's very colonial. We're talking about how it's very exploitive. Like, you know, even in the few minutes that we've been chatting here right now, that's very evident. And so when I looked at that, it's like, is it worth it for me to be so tied to this community when I can't look away from the harm that is caused? And so I think despite the fact that church and Jesus and all that meant so much to my family, I think for me as a person, I was like, I'm just not bought in, you know, like you were saying, like either you're so bought in or it's just you can't help but see it. And I think for me, I couldn't unsee it once I saw the harm that was being caused. And I was like, you know what, this isn't who I am. And this is not something that I can be tied to. So it was in many ways, I think, difficult in terms of figuring out how do I maintain relationship like with my parents and with people who I really care about, who still, this is a very important part of their life. But I think at the same time, it wasn't hard for me to, when I realized that I couldn't be tied to it, to finally say, okay, no, this isn't for me. This doesn't fit. It's like you put on a jacket, it doesn't fit. You're like, okay, no, not wearing this one. And that, it's not to be flippant, but I really just had an understanding like this does not work for me. This isn't for me. Yeah.
I like that analogy of like putting on a jacket that didn't fit. Yeah. So I feel like so many folks are out here just like, and we were those kids. Like if you look, I mean, you saw my life.
I have.
You've seen my life. You've seen it all. Like, like, but when truly, like, just wearing this jacket, like, it fits. We're good. I'm okay. I'm okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And the cognitive, I'm totally fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And eventually, you just have to fucking look in the mirror and be like, it's not okay. Yeah. I'm not okay.
It's very uncomfortable.
Right? Yeah, well, exactly. I'm beyond uncomfortable because if you're uncomfortable that long, eventually you're fucking sick, bro.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know? I don't remember who I was talking to recently, but someone was like, oh, why did you leave the Lord? I'm like, fuck, I'm a better person outside of Jesus. Like, Jesus, the person, the historical figure, and I are fine, bro. Yeah. I have no beef with that guy. That guy is a brown fucking, you know, rebel rouser. I relate to that shit. Okay, that I get that. Yeah. The white male god y'all fucking follow, that colonial master you all fucking suck dick for, I don't know him. No, fuck that shit. My people were not haphazardly Christians. Y'all forced them onto a boat, then forced them onto a fucking island, then raped and fucking killed them, and then gave them your stupid church and your stupid nuns, and you abused them in school and told them that was fucking God's will. And now we're all Catholic and Adventist. Oh no, that was the Lord's will? Fuck y'all. Truly. And so like but I look at it and you're like, you just spent all this time just trying to fit into this fucking mold of what you're supposed to be as a person. Like I think gender was so gendered as well.
Oh,
like,
very much so.
You know, I joke that I cosplayed as a white girl for Jesus for most of my life.
Real.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you dress like? I'm like, I dress like a 15-year-old boy now because that's why I was dressing when I started going to church. And then I was like, I'm reclaiming my youth.
Yeah,
It's really what it is.
From you.
I had to fucking wear pantyhose and heels to fucking sing.
That is wild to me.
Yeah.
Yo, I used to wear skirts to my, I had me to the knee. And
And
heels.
it had to be a skirt.
It had to be a skirt.
I think
and
it
I had
changed
to wear,
after some time.
Oh, yeah, I
But
remember
for the
like-
first bit, it was like it had to be a skirt if you were on stage.
and I'm like, I wanted to sing for Jesus. Right? It's funny because I hear people talk about like a whole generation of kids were singing "Break My Heart for What Breaks Yours,"
Ooh.
and then we all were like, "That's fucked up," and we all got an awareness of the world and moved on it, and now we're like, "Oh my gosh, deconstruction! Everyone's leaving." Like we asked, you told us to pray, you told me to pray. You told me to read the Bible. You taught me about a quote unquote upside down kingdom. I took it later to the kids.
Yeah.
You told me that the God you apparently worship was different than the rest of this fucking world full of colonial masters. And he was against empire. You gave me stories about empires crumbling, guys. And you're shocked I want the empire to crumble? Say less.
You asked me to pray for wisdom, and I'm not
Here we
unseeing
are.
things.
I'm just saying, you asked me to see things through the eyes of the least among us.
Yeah.
Maybe you should look in the mirror and wonder if you're actually Babylon. Maybe you're Nebuchadnezzar. Maybe you're worshiping the golden fucking rabbit.
I love my golden rabbit.
You know? You had to worship that too. So
Worship at the altar.
VeggieTales reference. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, remember?
I love
the
I still
bunny.
love it.
The bunny. Hey, I love the bunny. No, maybe you're worshiping the bunny. Fuck y'all.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, I was like, we took your lesson seriously, and now you're all like, oh,
How could you?
how could you? I'm like, you just need to.
Do you
learn
actually believe in the God that you are claiming?
No,
Because it's transformed us in a way that
most of them are practical atheists.
bro.
Isn't that interesting? Like most pastors, like they're very adamant. I'm not saying all, but they're very adamant on like you have to follow these things. But if you start like really asking them questions about what they believe or whatever, like
No,
they're not as 100% on it as they like to present either. It's just this is what we do. It becomes this ritual. It becomes this like, thing that you just do, which is
what
wild to me.
Yeah, which we were talking about last podcast is like the disembodiment.
Yeah,
The disconnect between the mind body and like how do we get back to that remembering, that knowing.
but you can't control people if they're embodied.
Yes.
And you can't control people if they think for themselves.
Yeah.
That's just it. Because you meet so many folks who are like very intelligent, very critical
Yo,
thinkers, and yet
Doctors,
they're so
lawyers.
right.
We went to church. All the people of color were like us poor niggas, and then the rest of them were like fucking doctors and fucking high-end academics. And I'm like, why are you still giving this man your money?
Yeah. But like, you get so bought in. Like there's just becomes this pocket between the way you approach everything else in your life with like critical thinking and then this belief system that you've decided you're committed to and therefore won't question. And that is wild to me. Because I'm like, no, I've had conversations with you about other things and it's just you have fascinating thoughts. Your brain works in such an incredibly interesting way.
Yeah.
But when it comes to faith, no conversation, no deconstructing, like nothing. Just nope, this is what we believe, this is what we do, that's it.
Yeah.
And that I think is the most wild part to me when it comes to religion and faith. It's wow, you become almost limited.
Yeah. Or there's people that you start to have those conversations when they're like deconstructing, but then they go back, which I get because you know, going through it, I would never ask anyone to do that.
No, it's scary.
To rid yourself of all security and all you've ever known, then you don't know what to trust. You can't trust anything. It's terrifying.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, something that we have to acknowledge too is like when you walk away from the church, it's really hard to figure out how to have community again. And when you think about people who, you know, they do start to deconstruct these things, but then they do go back to the church, oftentimes I'm like, I don't blame you because it is very isolating in that first part when you're starting to understand that this isn't for me and this is not a community that actually lends to my well-being. And yet, where do you find that community? Because you've been taught your whole life every Sunday, you go to church, every Wednesday, you go to prayer service, every like other weekend, once a month or something.
You're gonna go out with the girlies and then whatever. There's a women's conference.
Or the
So your
Christian community
community-
is bad.
You know?
So you can't join that community.
Well, it's just like you can't find your people. I think or rather it's hard to find your people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And who are those people when you just
Because
come
your people
out
were
of this
built
thing?
in, right? Built-in community. It's you're not just leaving a faith, a belief system. You're leaving your entire world.
Yeah.
Your social life.
Yep.
Your social life. Your how you give back to community is through church.
Yeah.
And sometimes
what I'm
it
saying?
means leaving your family, like depending
Yeah.
who you are and who your family is. Like there's a lot that you give up. And I don't think this is limited to Christianity.
No.
I think it comes to, just having a faith or belief system that is more, I guess, organized religion, like when you realize that that's not for you, that stepping away is so important for your well-being as a person, but it is so hard when it comes to feeling rooted anywhere because you had this whole community that was just right there, but as soon as you don't agree, all of a sudden you lose all that, and then how do you rebuild that?
So many layers of grief.
Yeah.
Oh, so much.
And I feel like
so much.
thankfully now there's so much more resources because it's mainstream now.
Yeah.
Because when
100%.
back
10
in
years
our
ago.
day, let me tell you, I was still a Christian when I left, and I was ostracized.
Oh yeah.
When I left in 26, when I was like, I'm not going to this church no more. I'm like, y'all are fucked, and I call it out. I was still very much a Christian. I was like, but this ain't it. And the entire world was like, you hate white people, I got fucking death threats. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I got hate mail.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I was just like, yo, I was just trying to live by the fucking thing you told me to live by.
Yep.
I'm just like, I think we're treating people poorly. You know what I'm saying? And there was nowhere. Like, there was a couple of guys on Twitter, but like, there were no podcasts.
No.
There was no blogs.
It's not like
there
to
were
the
no
degree it is
books.
now.
So you were alone, and people just sat back and watched.
Yep. I've always felt so lucky, honestly, that like I feel like you and I started deconstructing around the same time, because I really felt like for the longest time it really was me and you, and there's like a couple other people that we knew
They
who
kind of watched
maybe
it in
were
the
kind
peripheries.
of or was like, I think you're wrong, but I'm gonna love you anyways, which was also great. Like I'm really grateful for the people who didn't just like drop me, But yeah, it was really isolating. I think had we not had each other, like that would have been so much harder. Like it was so important to be able to like we'd sit in a room and be like,
What the fuck did I do in my life?
What the fuck?
No,
Exactly.
Summer 2017 was a dark ass time. I remember, I think you came by on my birthday and you're like, you've been drinking a lot, haven't you? And I was like, look.
Sometimes.
I was in Toronto and like broke and working 40-hour weekends and commuting 3 hours a day for school and just not sure what I was doing with my life. And I was like, I would come home from the kitchen like, I ruined my life. I destroyed my life. And
Especially because you were in so much like high
I was
leadership
in
in the
leadership.
church. So when you walked away, it was a big deal.
I was leading the year before. I was leading city prayer breakfast for the fucking mayor and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah. I was in boardrooms with some of the biggest pastors in this fucking city. And next thing you know, I was like, you're treating the gays badly. It was a
Everyone
thing.
lost their minds.
Yeah. I was on fucking, the corporate ladder of Christianity. I was climbing that thing. I gave up a lot. Yep. And there was a wine rack next to the restaurant. And there was a fucking marble slab across the street. So I would get a bottle of red and a pint of ice cream, and I was sitting just crying.
Yep.
And be like, I ruined my life. But I knew I couldn't go back. It wasn't not even
It
a
was
question.
not an option.
Yeah.
It was just like, fuck.
Yeah.
What do I do now? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so.
That's why I stayed for like over a decade and I couldn't really say anything. I would challenge things, but I was like alone in it. Right. So where do you belong? I was just like, well, I don't agree with my circle of friends in this, and it's harmful, but like, where the fuck do I go?
Yeah. Well, who are my people gonna be?
Also, when your friends are out here talking shit about other people who were because I knew, I'm like, don't talk shit about people that you still like they still talk to me. I know you're talking smack. Ottawa was a small town, guys.
Yeah. I went to I think it was a Bethel concert. Was
No
it
way.
Stephanie Gretzinger?
Yeah, that's Bethel.
Yeah.
That girl can sing.
I love her. Okay.
Fuck that cult she's in. We already told you, Bethel, go to hell. Truly. But Stephanie Gretzinger
she's in
can
tune.
sing.
She's connected though, I feel.
William Matthews is still friends with her, so there must be something good about her.
Yeah.
Because he left. They did him dirty. But that's because they're racist.
That was a whole other
Yeah.
thing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she could sing though.
Yeah. and she was like prophesying over like Otto or whatever. And anyways, I remember, because I knew of you, but I didn't know you. And I remember people like talking smack or whatever. And I was like, this person knows. This person knows.
I gotta find this
I'm
person
like,
actually.
Yo, I took all the shit for everyone who left after.
Yeah.
People
You
like,
really
afterwards
did.
were like, I knew it was okay I'd be okay because you did it first. Thank you so much. I'm like, you're welcome. Only the 2 worst years of my life.
Yeah.
I lost
It was a
Beverly. I
rough
was
time.
found.
Thanks, man. Oh, gotta be the first. No, and look, it is what it is. I wouldn't have done it any differently. I'd still do it again. And I'm thankful for those who embraced me. Shout out to the diamonds who let me cry in their fucking living room.
Good people, man.
Because like, woo,
Yeah.
yo, it's a mind fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful now too to have like the people reach out to us and be like, hey. It's like you're leaving an abusive relationship, and they're seeking a safe space.
Yeah.
Not like it is.
I think that's
Leave
what that
your abusive
is.
Straight up.
husband. Leave that man. It ain't worth it. There's pussy
Break
out
up
here, I
with
promise.
Exactly.
Break up with him.
Also, I love how we all end up a little gay.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like. No, I think it's true. I think most people I know who have deconstructed, walked away from the church, all came out to me with around the same time. I'm like, oh, we were all gay, just here trying to survive.
We were all gay and traumatized and neurodivergent, hanging out together in church space.
You do find each other.
That's it. Yeah. That's the thing.
Unknowingly, everyone came out to me. I was like,
That's true. Everyone did.
everyone came out to me. When she was
Me
in youth
too.
group, like 16 years old, I was in a fucking youth meeting too. And I was like, okay, you good? Cool, awesome. I'm like, don't tell nobody.
That was true. That was good advice.
Because I knew.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't have the theology, but I knew. I was like, that's not safe for anyone to know. And I love you.
Yeah.
And God loves you.
Yeah.
And we'll deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Waited, I think, after that, 5 years?
Give or take.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but you friggin'
Few
Someone
other
else.
some other folks. Yeah. Yeah, some other folks.
Yeah.
All the youth kids came out to me. I was like, why does everyone come out to me? And I was like, I wonder why.
Because we all knew you were gay before you did.
Everybody knew. Everybody knew.
I
Isn't
was
that funny?
thinking, because people knew I didn't agree with it, but now I'm realizing, oh,
The
Yeah.
gaydar was
Oh,
gaydaring.
yeah, the gaydar was real.
oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
remember when fucking my coach / supervisor at the fucking nonprofit called me one day. Actually, I was in Nashville at a conference. It was 2016, and we had our weekly catch up. And he's like, "So I got an email about you," and I'm like, "Don't worry about it. Everything's okay. There's people complaining about your social media presence." And I'm like, "Is there anything wrong?" I was like, "No, I don't disagree with you. I think all that stuff you're saying about black people is right." I'm like, "White man, I don't need your permission to talk about black fucking shit." Okay, I don't care what black pussy you lick.
Oh, my
No,
Lord.
no. Never need your permission. But you know,
look,
I
you're right.
figured it was an opportunity to have like a lesson. I'm like, I thought my social online presence was fine. So why do I need a lesson? What do you have to say, bro? Well, you know, sometimes I wonder if you believe in biblical marriage. I'm like, whoa. And I'm not silly. Though I was like,
Do you love
I was
biblical
wrestling
marriage?
shit with shit. I knew that I couldn't just say, leave gay people be. But I could say, if you're a parent who kicks kids out, you're a bad parent. And I think it's fully biblical. And if you disagree with that, I don't see where you can think that's a good parenting in the name of the Lord. And I'm like, to me, at the time, my straight ass was like, this is a justice issue. Yeah. It is. If the Bible says we are to be for the least of these, and 40 to 60% of homeless youth are queer, the least among us is queer kids.
There you go.
If the Bible, if it's the research is there, kids who grew up in faith spaces, so whether Christian or other religions, people who pray and meditate are actually healthier. The exception is if you're queer in a Christian place, you're 8 times more likely to kill yourself.
100%.
So when you tell me the last will be first and the first will be last, that God came for the least of these, put spirit upon me, Spirit of the Lord is upon me to preach good news to the poor, set the captives free, to my mind. That's who we're here to take care of. So in which case, you, on all spectrums, biblically should believe that people should be at the front line to help support queer and trans people should be Christians based on the fucking book. Apparently that was a little
They don't wanna
too
hear it.
much. No.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
calm down.
Apparently I didn't believe in biblical marriage. And now I'm like,
Wow.
marriage who? Marriage
Oh,
what?
thank fuck.
Yo, we'd be so divorced.
Maybe we dodged 2 divorces. Who knows?
Jeez. Could you imagine me married to a pastor?
Oh no.
Ew,
It could have happened.
No.
I know.
Mm-mm.
It would have been a mess.
I got told the compliment that I'm gonna be a pastor's wife.
What
Oh,
compliment
yeah.
is that? He can be my wife. Fuck, you can be my first man, okay? Jeez. I was going to run a church. I don't know what you're talking about.
You were gonna be the pastor.
I was going to be pastor.
People are still ready.
Look, and
They're
they
waiting.
They can stay waiting. They're gonna go grow old waiting. Yo,
Don't give the people what
Rose-Ingrid's my pastor. I'm like, look, I'm the pastor of nobody. Okay, I'm the pastor of this pussy, and that's pretty much
Hey.
it. All right,
You can pray to
No,
this pussy.
I
I'm in
baptized
with you.
myself.
Toss the
Leave me
sheets.
Um,
I feel like I don't know what to say to any of that, but I support it.
on that note, one of the things we do on this pod is we have our something called ygrconfessions.
Ooh.
So
yes.
we've opened up to our listening audience to share confessions. It's kind of our version of listener letters.
Oh, I love
So
that.
you could send your confessions, or you could send like questions, or like,
These are my
you know,
confessions.
if I said all things I does a chick on the side
Said she got one of
sounds like a
the
pastor confession. I'm just saying, we know you're out there. And so someone actually sent us a letter this week.
Yeah.
So we're gonna read it, and then we're gonna respond to our first shout out to this person for being the first. Yeah. Okay, so this person says, I attended a sleepaway Bible camp when I was about 8 until I was about 12. All right. On one of the summers that I attended, I was in a cabin with counselors who really wanted us to keep our eyes closed during popcorn prayer. Remember popcorn prayer time?
Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot about that, but that was
Now
a
I
deep
like-
pull.
Yeah. I love that like this person gave us context. If you've grown up in the church, you can know how long prayer sessions can be. Hella long.
Now I like
Long.
pretzel prayers. You know what I'm saying?
Prayer with the body, embodied prayer. 10-year-old me had a really hard time keeping my eyes closed during a 15-20 minute prayer time. Fair. One of my counselors caught me with my eyes open and called me out. The next day, during one of our free periods, I had to remain in the cabin with my eyes closed until they told me I could open them. I sat in my bunk for a good 30 minutes while listening to all the kids playing outside.
What?
It now drives me crazy that I didn't point out the fact that in order for her to know my eyes were open, hers were too.
Also, that.
Shout out to calling out the fucking Bible counselor, but also,
Yeah, punishments were weird at these camps.
Yeah.
I didn't go to camp.
I think
That's
yeah,
good.
you didn't miss much.
My mom was like anti-camp.
Good
Yeah,
job, Mom.
Good job. You know,
know?
there's one thing. Yeah.
We'll take that win.
That was said with knowing.
Sorry.
No,
Too real.
No, she called earlier. I was like, Mom, I'm going in the studio. Bye. Talk to you later. No, but I'm also just like, so the punishment for like not closing your eyes for you to stay in this fucking room by yourself while other kids are frolicking with your eyes closed for 30 minutes, how is that not abuse?
Right? And how does opening your eyes in any way disrupt the prayer time?
Yeah. Like, why do you need to
What
close
a
your
weird
eyes?
thing to be so intense about.
Did you
Also, you're a
curse?
child.
No. Did you rape someone? No. Did you are you rude to somebody? Absolutely not.
No.
God saw your eyes.
That he created.
Stay in the corner, kid.
No, I don't love it.
Also, from a trauma-informed lens, what if people are like hypervigilant and they have to see around them so they can feel safe?
100%.
There's
You
no
don't
such
wanna
thing
close
as
your
trauma
eyes?
in the Lord. Just pray it away.
Just pray it away. You'll be healed.
Pray until something happens. Push.
Oof.
I just got horny when you said that. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because I had a... Never mind. Continue.
Oh, no. Share with class.
Immediately.
Tell us more.
Derailed.
I'm in.
Ooh, it's getting hot.
Take off all your clothes. Different pods. Sorry. That's for the Patreon.
Strip pod.
No, you want to share?
No. Sharing is caring, but we're on something else right now.
Yeah, any thoughts for a friend? I'm sorry you went go through that, man. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you absolutely should have called them out.
Yeah.
100%.
And
Because that was rude. It's straight up rude.
straight up. She'll be like, why you gotta be so rude?
Do you
have any good or any like church stories that you've never told before?
Any church stories I haven't told before?
Or like, something your parents don't know? I just realized. Or pastors don't know.
Yeah,
Or like,
you're a kid in the church. I feel like there's a lot your parents don't know.
I said that and then answered my own question. I'm like,
yeah.
I know things your parents don't know.
No, I didn't go to a lot of camps. I did do some of like the VBS, Vacation Bible School, you know. And I think the only thing that really stands out to me is I went to one and it was very it's a lot more conservative, I guess, than any I'd been to before. So the thing that stood out to me is like the whole time, like you had to make sure to wear like the super long skirts and all the girls had to like help in the kitchen. And it was like such a weird thing because though I grew up in church, they were never that like gender rolled, I guess. So I just remember being at this like Bible camp for a week and I was like, what is this? Like you had to like wrap your hair and everything. And it was just so...
Brethren?
I don't know, maybe Baptist or something, but I just remember it was so outside of what I was used to, and it was not anything like really bad per se. It was just I remember feeling like I was in another world, and I just remember thinking like, wow, I like grew up around this. I can't imagine if I was someone who had like never gone to church, never went to anything like this, and imagine your parents just like drop you off at this camp to like kick some ball for a weekend and have some fun, and all of a sudden you have all these rules, and it just I was like maybe 12 or something, 12, 13. And I just remember thinking like, wow, you know, to anyone on the outside looking in, this must be so strange, you know, and this is just so normalized for us. Like, obviously the girls, like we do these things and obviously the boys do that. And we're, you know, obviously supposed to be submissive. So if the boys ever said or did anything, and you can only imagine where this would go sometimes, but in even just a simple way, if the boys said or did anything, like their word always took precedent because they are the men, even if they're 13 and annoying, like, you know, it was a really weird atmosphere. And I just remember that was something that always stood out to me as a kid of being like, yeah, anyone on the outside looking in, this must be so strange.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a good wife.
It's like,
ugh,
yeah, good wife one day.
Don't love it. Don't love it.
One time I was sweeping and this man was like, you're gonna make a good wife, you have a good motion with that broom. And I was like,
what?
I was a child. What? He was a grown man.
Ew.
Fucking hell.
They really did want you to be a pastor's wife, huh?
I fucked up.
No wife sale duties here. I remember when they figured out I could cook.
What do you mean?
So I was like, I was living in Orleans, right? And when I lived down the hill, and one of our friends came by the house and was like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Oh, I just threw that together. Can I have some?" Yeah, sure, whatever. And she eats it and she's like, "Oh, this is really good." I'm like, "Why are you fucking surprised?"
I mean, you take care of yourself.
These people forgot I'm a fucking immigrant's kid from a single parent home. I've been cooking since I came out of the womb, guys. They just assumed because I didn't fit into the vision of femininity that I couldn't. One Christmas, I baked cookies and brought gifts at church. And everyone's like, "You can bake?" And I'm like, you just never asked, motherfuckers. And I have other skill sets. And I'd rather lead in other ways other than being in a fucking kitchen. Y'all just assumed. I'm like, what do you mean? Of course I can cook. I made guac one day. It was whatever. I stole a little bit of the recipe from the restaurant I was working at for someone's engagement party. And their mom was like, "Oh, wow. This is so good. You need to bring us to the next luncheon." I'm like, where has Vince been? I'm like, you never asked.
Yeah.
Agape. I loved agapes. All the meatballs.
Y'all just assumed I couldn't cook because I didn't want to be a good wife. And so y'all missed out.
Yeah, people just assumed if you didn't fit this image, then you must not know how to take care of a home. It's I know how to take care of myself.
Yeah, I've been feeding people for years. I'm like, I just don't want to be known for that here.
Yeah, that's not my selling point, you know?
I have a brain. You know, I like to use it.
You're not supposed to.
I lift heavy things.
Yep.
You know? I mean, in other realms, it's attractive. I don't know what you're talking about.
Take you to another realm.
The other day, my niece was like, I was like, "So am I allowed to have a girlfriend?" And she's like, "No, that's weird." I'm like, "Why is that weird?" Only if she like plays with my toys. I'm like, "Okay, I don't worry. I will not date a girl that you don't like anyway. You won't meet a girl unless I fucking vetted her anyway." Let's be really real. She's like, "I'm like, so how can I get a girlfriend?" She's like, "Here are the 5 things you need to do. Do your eyelashes.
Oh my god,
look pretty. Take care of your eyelashes. Put on nails." She's like, "Listen," I'm like, And her dad is in the room across the hall. Let's laugh. He's like, you should see her at the club.
I mean, you do have your fuckboy earrings in
I'm
today.
like, oh, baby girl, you know nothing about what girls want. You'll be in horror when you realize, like, fresh-faced hoodie. I love it. She makes me laugh.
Yeah. Yes, that little bit she was doing when they picked us up at the train station.
Oh, last week.
So funny.
What did she do?
She was describing the Bible, but like
It was so
she's
funny.
never read it. She's just making shit up. It was improv at its finest.
It truly, I was like, I know she's not high, but this sounds like she's high.
that's just neurodivergence, man.
Yes. It was amazing. It was so funny. I was crying laughing.
I was like, you need to do this for the pod.
oh yeah, it was so
Oh, that'd
good.
be so fun.
Yeah,
Bring
they've
the nieces
asked
on the
already.
podcast.
I'm like, we'll make a PG version for you that day.
Yeah.
We'll let you guys come and talk whatever you want to talk about.
They're adaptions of the Bible.
Oh, or who knows, man? Those kids are smart as fuck.
They're so smart. Yeah. I think I'm like, what?
I'm like, man,
the
we're
word
old
of
enough
my
to have these like preteens in their lives.
Aw.
I know, right?
Speaking of,
Cute.
Yeah.
after coming away, what? That's a great play. But
Come
leaving
from
the
away.
church.
That's what it's called.
Come from away.
It's being remounted August 2024. Anyway.
Little plug. How did you nurture your inner child, or
Ooh.
how did you show up for yourself after?
That's a great question.
That's good.
I'm gonna have to think about that. I think giving myself permission. I think that's something that, like, being a kid in the church, there's so many rules. Actually, going right back to this confession we had, like,
Yes, please.
you were punished because you didn't close your eyes during prayer. Like, there are so many things when you grow up in the church that you get punished for things that are just so arbitrary.
Yeah.
And the whole culture seems to be that if you are a kid, your whole goal or mandate is to just follow the rules. Doesn't matter what those rules are. It doesn't matter who gave you those rules. If an adult in your life gave you some kind of rule, you follow it, because just as like women are expected to, submit, like children are expected to submit. And so it didn't matter what those rules are. So I think as an adult and as someone who has like walked away from the church, and part of reclaiming some of, I guess, that childhood or those childhood joys is giving myself permission. Do you want to, I don't know, do something frivolous, make a mess, paint with your hands? Like, it's like little things, but just the giving permission to do what I feel like doing in that moment itself, I think, has reclaimed some of that. Like, I'm not looking over my shoulder. I'm not worrying about, am I upsetting someone? Am I breaking a rule? I think not worrying about how many rules you're breaking and just living and finding joy and just indulging, I think, for me, is a way how I reclaim some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of like restrict yourself. So indulging, I like that. That's a good.
Indulgence, I think, is something I've been really leaning into the last few years. It's a word that keeps coming back. It's like, indulge, and when I say indulgence, I don't mean doing things that would be harmful or whatever. It's just something that brings you joy, something that feels frivolous. Just lean into it. Where's the harm in just leaning into that joy, leaning into that pleasure? So indulgence.
Buddy.
Indulgence. Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a blessing for today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I love the idea of like closing it with blessings.
Yeah.
You
Where
know?
do you find indulgence? Maybe that's a
Ooh,
question I'll
last
leave
night
with
was
both
joy.
of you.
Ooh.
Mhm.
What do you find indulgence? Oh. Ooh.
I know there's so many.
No, I think I still. Let's have that.
What? No, you go.
I think I still wrestle.
Mm.
Because it's not just because I became like evangelical at like 12, right? I was very culturally Christian before that, and it had no bearing to my day life.
Yeah.
But I come from a home where I was restricted. I was essentially like bred for religious abuse at home.
100%.
So like a lot of my trauma like is not even like Jesus related. It's mommy related. Bless you. She did her best, okay? But like, so pleasure is something I still like work at at being okay with. And like giving to myself and taking like guilt-free pleasure is still a thing. Like I have moments and I'm better than I used to be, clearly, but so like the idea of indulging outside of my head, I'm still such a heady person.
Yeah.
I feel that.
And I had to be to survive my world, to be honest. So like when I find places where I can be embodied and like lean into whatever, it's nice, but it's also much harder to do. If I'm honest, it's really hard to do sober.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's
Like,
real.
Like high me is a whole other person.
Yeah.
And just that little edge off, all of a sudden it's just so much easier to make those like connections and to be able to sit into things. But like sober me is so brain first. It's actually quite hard to indulge in a way that like feels free and good.
Yeah, without the guilt there. It's
Yeah.
like you've learned this guilt and you associate that with indulging now.
Yeah. Yeah. Also just pleasure. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Getting out my head and getting out of my own ways is actually I think it's gonna be a lifelong endeavor.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's my response to that.
Yeah.
Indulge.
Yeah, when you asked, that's what came up for me, is like, because the restrict, like I still struggle with I'm doing something bad, therefore I am bad. So the shame that comes up, and I'm just fucking sick of it. I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. We're done. Ripping off the jacket.
Yep.
Doesn't fit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can we just burn it now?
Yeah.
But where I can do that is food. Eating well.
Yeah. Yep.
I
and enjoying.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like, I love like watching you live. Like you'll be on the gram with your boob mug, having your daily latte. You know what I'm saying? You're always like, I'm out for dinner. Look at this spread.
Yes.
And like you just like, it's clearly like you found this place where you just like, yeah, man, I'm having a nice meal.
Yeah.
I'm having my daily coffee.
Yep.
It's yummy. I don't fucking care if it's like a little extra. It is what it is.
Yep.
I've made space for that in my life, and I've started taking baths. I have my own bathroom now.
That's indulgent.
I have my own bathroom.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
You have your own space. You have your own bed. You're not sleeping on a couch.
All right, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about that.
I have a bed that my money paid for. Let's go. Let's go. Look, if you come from where I'm from, that's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
No one else slept on that mattress. I paid for it new. It cost a fuck ton. Yes, it did.
yours.
The waterproof.
It's mine. Yeah. I got the insurance and everything. But I have my own tub, and I've been like, I'll take a bath anytime.
Yeah.
I bought little bath bombs and fucking, I got a little. I was out with a friend actually that we both know, and she was like buying bubbles, and I was like, I've never thought of that, so I bought some too.
Yes, you gotta have a
And it
bubble
was so nice.
bath.
Sometimes I buy the little Crayola like color bombs. For myself.
Yes.
The kids are like,
Fun.
can I have that? I'm like, those are mine. Here's yours. Stay the fuck out of my shit. I made the mistake of letting the girls take I offered to let them take because my top is like nice and big and whatever's. And they use my bubbles, but they use like their bubble bath. They need their own bottle. Because they have no limits to their indulgence.
You're just gonna
Beautiful.
and you love that.
And I had a moment. I had checked myself. I'm like, there's more where that came from.
Exactly.
We are not living in lack anymore. I could buy another bottle. They had a good time in Auntie's tub. That's the whole goal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They indulge in the fancy bubbles, the
We're
grown-up
breaking
bubbles.
generational shit.
You know what I'm
there you
saying?
go.
That's where the work is done. But I do. I sit in my tub, and like I have a little diffuser, and I put little whatevers. Oh yeah. And I just like sit too long, and then fucking be like, how do I get myself up?
My titties are pruned.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love that. Baths, food.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh man, that was such a good way. Ooh. Okay.
Yes.
As we leave this time together,
Yeah.
what are you going to indulge in this week, or we're going to find indulgence this week?
Ooh, what
Yeah,
are you
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
indulge in this week?
Where are you looking forward to finding indulgence in your life?
Okay, I'm not going to give a lot of details, but I'm going to a very fun little getaway with a bunch of sapphics. And so I do believe I will be indulging very much this upcoming weekend. So that is where I'm going to indulge. Yeah, we have left the church. We have stepped fully into enjoying all things queer. So yeah, that's
So
where I
good.
will be indulging.
It's delicious. Who? Do you have one? I had to think harder.
I don't know. I
More.
mean, we are going away next weekend.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to see Berna.
We're gonna see Burna Boy.
Because I was like, I feel like dancing's in my life soon, but I couldn't figure out
we're
the
going
event.
and we're gonna eat. We've already had a couple of
Oh
reservations.
yeah.
We're going to Burna Boy.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like whenever we go to Toronto,
We just indulge. We
get-
fully
we
indulge.
do.
Yeah.
We're doing all of it. We're like, there's no restrictions
we get up into some things.
into some people.
There
On
might
that
be there might be indulgences.
You know, it's
in
just
our-
like a nice little oasis.
Well, I was telling someone the other day that like I'm like such a fucking weird. I like once a quarter I leave town and I do things, and then I come back. I'm like, not back to the grind.
Yeah.
You know, I just like, oh, okay, let's go active full, and that's enough.
Yeah.
All right, now we're back to normal because I have
You're already practicing indulgence. That's what that is. Baby steps.
Well,
You know.
also, I just feel like it's a lot to be like indulging all the time.
There you
So
go.
I'm
Well,
not-
and your brain can compartmentalize it, right?
I'm not. I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
my delights are expensive.
Yeah, we got to find different kinds of indulgence.
Yeah,
yeah,
You
you know?
know? The ones we pay for and the ones that are like maybe we don't pay that
Yeah,
much for.
yeah.
You know.
But no, I like I feel good about like leaving town, and acting the fool, and I come home like
yeah.
Good feeling.
I made some choices.
We are also going to indulge in a baby blue tracksuit.
Oh my god, that's so
we want
fun.
matching tracksuits.
Yeah.
That is actually really cute. I kind of love it.
You can join if you want. We can
You
all
know,
be cute.
I'm kind of thinking about it.
Yes.
Let's get you a tracksuit.
Oh, thanks for being on with
This
us.
was so fun.
Yeah, it's been good.
Honored to be the first guest.
You know, maybe we'll come back and we'll talk about like polyamory and
Ooh,
love.
Yes,
Mhm.
please.
We'll have a love episode maybe one day. We'll come back
I
and
love
talk about
that.
that. You know,
Yeah.
teach us about how about being free with your love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah?
that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I love
back.
that. Y'all have a good week, and you know, find something to indulge in this week.
Yeah.
You know, get some pleasure in you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever that means.
that's the
to
that's
you.
the,
Yes,
that's,
could be anything.
that's the word for the week.
Mm.
Go find some pleasure,
Yeah. Pleasure.
some good pleasure, some good indulgences, and be free, friends.
Mm.
Ooh, be free.
Be free. Deuces.
Dios te bendiga.
Gracias.